So that's where we need to collaborate. If you can tell that collaboration is a common theme here, we need to collaborate with you to make sure that you're connected, invested, and involved with your local technical school programs, because that's where your future workforce is going to come from. So while we've been able to provide on the monetary side scholarships, grants, things that these programs need but they can't always afford, if you see the 130 plus million that we've been able to provide, that's in the form of in-kind donations. So that's tools, equipment, supplies, vehicles, again, everything that these instructors need to provide that quality technical education so that the students, when they graduate, they're properly trained and ready to come work for you. Another note of recognition, Mark Allen from Audi Volkswagen, who is a volunteer board of trustees for CREF. Companies like him, they donated nearly 80 brand new 2023 and 2024 model ICE and electric vehicles to CREF, which we were then able to get inside the school so that these students are being exposed and working on the vehicles that they're going to see when they come out into the industry. So we can't help the future of the industry without your support, and I look forward to all of us hearing from these students so you get the perspective of what they're working with and what their perceptions are of the industry here coming up. So a very big announcement that I'd like to announce that will come right after the slide, but if you're not familiar with your local technical school programs, if you use this QR code, that's going to take you to the CREF website, and then off the drop down off the left-hand side, we have a school locator. So you can use this to make sure that you're aware and can meet and network with the schools that are in your local market. And if you're not familiar with those local school contacts, please reach out to CREF, because we'll make sure you're connected with the administrators and the instructors to get involved with the local schools. If you've heard of it, when it comes to volunteering, it's either time, talent, and treasure. So there's things like volunteering on advisory boards. There's things like, if any of you have ever had to deal with scrap parts, so those bumpers, fenders, hoods that you're taking off your customers' vehicles, those are what these local schools need. And I can't stress that enough, is it's something easy enough for you to do, especially over these summer months, as we get closer to the next school semester starting back up. Basically, your trash, meaning those parts that you're scrapping, are gold for these school instructors, because we've heard instances, and hopefully it's not the case with Davies Tech, because hopefully they're obviously already connected with VIVE Collision facilities. These instructors are rummaging through the dumpsters of body shops and dealerships to get these parts to bring back to their schools so that the students have current model parts to work on. That, as this industry, should be something that is not in existence. We should be able to collectively end instructor dumpster diving to make sure that these instructors have what they need to provide that quality technical education, which better prepares them to come work for you. So, working together with Rich, Tiffany, and Nicole, what we've created and will be available next year is that VIVE Collision is sponsoring a student scholarship that is only eligible for students in the VIVE markets. So students will be able to apply for a VIVE Collision named scholarship that, starting in the summer of this year, like I mentioned, let us help identify what local schools in your local markets, start saving those scrap parts, and we can start developing a plan for you to get involved with these schools once the school year starts back up. In the fall, let's get you involved in visiting these local schools. A lot of instructors have never seen a live working industry member come into their program and actually talk and present to the students. And that is impactful not only for the students, because they get to meet the industry they kept on hearing about from the instructor, but it also helps the administration know that there's this industry that desperately needs these students, and you can share the fact that this XYZ school could be graduating 10 times the amount of students that they're currently graduating, and it would still not meet the need that this industry has to help fulfill the employment need that we have. So that goes a long way when a lot of administrators or school officials are looking at their budgets, and all they're looking are at spreadsheets. And as you probably know, the collision repair program is one of the more expensive programs to run. So it's desperate that we need to make sure that the industry is showing that these programs are needed and they need to be invested in moving forward. So it helps provide that proper and quality technical education pipeline for these students to come work for you. Like I said, we can help with the introductions, make those parts donations, and then start volunteering on the advisory boards. I understand and respect that many of you may have had a good or bad experience with a local school, and if it was a bad experience, let's work together and collaborate to make sure that that problem is fixed, so we can make sure that the program is one that can be a resource for you for those entry-level people. Starting in the spring of 2026, that is when the CREF scholarship season opens up. Now, we facilitate anywhere between $200,000 to $300,000 in various scholarships for students around the country. However, like I said before, the VIVE Collision Scholarship will only be available for students in the VIVE Collision markets. So that's an opportunity for you to get involved with your local schools to make sure and encourage these students are taking advantage of these support opportunities, and whether it's monetary scholarships to help pay for tuition, or tool grants, which we also offer, that these students get the tools that they need to start off their career, and it's one more either financial or tool barrier that they might have going into the industry when they do graduate. And then in May, June timeframe, the applications will be reviewed by a volunteer selection committee, and then we'll be able to announce our scholarship winners in addition to the VIVE Collision scholarship winners that are coming up. So, opportunity for us to collaborate. I look forward to working closely with everyone and helping to connect you with the local schools, as these will be the opportunities that you have to get the next generation of entry-level staff coming up into your industry. Here's my contact information. I promised Rich I'd keep it nice and short and sweet, but any questions for myself before we get to hear from the real superstars in this room from Davies Tech? They were good, Rich. All right. Thank you, everyone.
Turn me up, Zach. Thank you. Mike, while we're setting up, why don't you give him an update on what you've done with Craft? All right, hang in there. Steve's just gonna rearrange the stage, right? Guess Nicole, it was about 6 months ago. I've always wanted to do what we're about to do, meet young people entering the industry. For whatever reason, it was very difficult because I'd walk into the school, in this case I had Nicole and tow, and it would be well, we walked into Davies Vocational School, which is just north of Providence, Rhode Island, and Catherine, who's the career coordinator, met with me, Nicole, and Jesse, the instructor. And immediately they're taking the words right out of my mouth, saying, we're all in. And I'm saying, okay, lady, if you're all in, I'm all in. And that's what we proceeded to prepare for what we're going to do in a few moments, okay? So I'm going to bring the students up in a moment. First, Jesse, you want to come up? Thanks for the stage hands here. They should be on Broadway. Okay, Jesse, and then why don't we bring our students up? Just shut me down for a minute, Zach. Fine. I see we got the student panel up there, guys. I just want to introduce our panelists here. There we go. There's William Davies, Career and Technical School. You walk into this school, if that's what you call it. It's a campus. I walked in for the first time. It's spotless. It's loud. It's noisy. It's a high school level. There are corridors filled with students in all phases of vocational. And right then and there in the middle of it is the Career Center, right? Collision Career Center, where these young men, within a couple of weeks ago, graduated from the Collision Repair School. So we're happy to have you. You guys ready for this? Ready to rock and roll? We're going to start with you, Jesse. You might want to just take a minute to introduce yourself, how long you've been at Davies, what your background in collision repair is, everything that we talked briefly about, what the challenges are, and how many students you have already.
Okay, is this on? Sounds good?
Yeah.
Okay. My name's Jesse Spillane. I was born here in Connecticut, actually, and I was throughout high school. I was on, a college track. I think I was more interested in playing sports in college, and that's what kind of got me through high school. Around my senior year, broke my ankle. Somebody did slide tackle on me, broke my ankle in a couple places, and I decided that I needed to do something else in life. I was kind of a gearhead as a kid, always working on cars on the side, playing around with them. Always loved cars. So I went to college for a year, and I just wasn't into it anymore, so I came home, went to college in West Virginia, I came home, and I decided to go to New England Tech in Warwick, Rhode Island. That was kind of a turning point in my life. I went through their collision program there, and I wanted to go, after New England Tech, I wanted to go into and work for one of the German automakers. I was interested in them. Decided to get married that summer, and they decided that they couldn't have me go through their program because they didn't allow you to be married at that point because they wanted to be able to take you any place in the United States once you graduated. So I ended up getting recruited by a dealership down in Kentucky, German car dealer, and I worked for them for a couple of years, and my wife got a job back at Brown University, so we ended up back up in Rhode Island, and worked here for about 10 years in the industry, and then decided to go into teaching.
How many students do you have now in all the programs?
We are at about 140 students, freshmen through senior year. The students are cross-trained back and forth from automotive to collision, basically through the 3 years, and then as a senior they decide, do they want to be in collision or do they want to be in automotive? It's grown a lot. I think when I started in 2016, that was my first graduating class, we had 90 students in the program, so now we're up to about 140. So we have an additional teacher we've added now, so we're up to 4 teachers. We have 2 teachers on the collision side and 2 on the automotive side.
Good. Biggest challenges, what's the needs that you see every year that you would need more of from the support of us as well as some of our product and service suppliers out there?
Honestly, VIVE's been awesome for us. You guys have just and last week we had some donations that came through because Rich actually had asked me some questions about what I needed donated. CREF has been great for us, running out of supplies towards the end of the school year. Tuesday was the last day of school. I walked in and there were glasses for next year's class, safety glasses. They're really, really nice, a whole pallet of them, so it's been great. Consumables are our biggest thing. With 140 students, we go through a lot of material, a lot of sandpaper, a lot of grinding discs, things like that. They've been really great because it just seems like right when we're about to run out, they always have a crate come for us. So scuff pads, things like that. It's just really, really good. So
Cool. All right, how about, we ready for the students over here? They're sitting there, you guys ready to rock? I know you are. We're gonna start with Jonathan right here. As I said, they're all recent graduates. What was it, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago?
they graduated on Friday night.
Oh, happy graduation, guys. I'm going to be a little bit formal because Ms. Catherine, who's the career coordinator, wrote the bios, but I'm going to informalize it a little bit as I go down through the description of the background of these young men. Jonathan Cante, right? Recent graduate, earned his recognition for his passion and his talent in the automotive collision repair, strong work ethic and commitment to excellence. He took upon himself to secure an unpaid internship in a place that you're going to be very familiar with when I tell you. During his times at Davies, Jonathan was also an active member of the stage crew. Could have used you, I didn't know that. He's an active blood donor, and he's equally committed to serving his wider community. They're telling me that you work for somebody. Who do you work for right now? Can you speak in there?
Yeah, I actively work for Crown Collision in Pawtucket, Rhode Island.
Oh, you work for VIVE Tech. Welcome to the team. Jose, how are you?
Good, you?
He's driven an accomplished recent graduate as well. He not only excelled academically, but also earned gold at the Skills USA competition for his refinishing work. Everybody wants to be a painter, right, Mike? He's now gearing up. I don't know, you did go to Atlanta or supported some teams in Atlanta?
No, next week we're going for nationals.
Okay, so you're going to the Nationals. Good luck down there. That's a national recognition. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
outside of his passion for automotive, he's a soccer player. You look at him. I'm a runner, we can chase each other, while I was a runner. As a senior, he played a key mentorship role as a helper with the freshman class, as you know. That's why we put him up here. We appreciate it. Thank you for being here, Jose.
Of course.
Zachery. Zach. Interesting background. Besides his passion in collision repair, believe it or not, and it is relevant to this evening, he's a competitive bowler. And he has won tournaments, so between collision repair and playing Fred Flintstone, and believe it or not, he did know who Fred Flintstone was, maybe you guys don't know. He likes working on cars, his love for cars, car repairs. Welcome, glad to have you, Zach. And finally, Daniel. He earned a bronze medal in auto refinishing at Skills USAA. Difficult competition, congratulations for that. And his passion, like many of you out there, started at 11-year-old in his dad's garage. So, let's have at it, guys. We'll go starting from Daniel. We'll start with the same question and work down towards me. Why collision repair? What did attract you to the program 4 years ago?
The main thing that attracted me to the program 4 years ago is that my father went through the same exact program when he was my age. He was one of the first classes to ever go through the Davies Collision Repair program. And then later on, when my older brother went into high school, he went through the same program. And it only made sense for me to do the exact same.
Cool, excellent. Good, Zach.
So, coming out of middle school, my brother went to Davies, and I thought I should go there because it probably helped me through life. Then, when I got there, we did like rotations, so we go through every shop. And when I got to auto, I got very interested because I got to see all the components of the car and how they make the car move and all be in one piece.
So me, coming out of middle school, in my region, the high schools in my area are terrible. I wouldn't recommend going there. So the only real option I had was going to Davies, and I went through the rotation, just like Zach said, and they all stood out to me, but auto was the one that stood out to me the most, because my dad always had his Civic back in the day he loved to work on. So I found a love and passion for automotive.
Great. Now you better have a good answer because you work for VIVE.
Okay, similar to Jose, yeah, my other option for high school wasn't so great, so I decided to go with Davies because obviously way better option. But what attracted me to collision repair was the various amount of tools and like safety equipment that was present, and well, yeah, and mostly the demonstrations that Mr. Spillane did during the our little like rotations of the program, right? And I remember one moment he sprayed a panel, and to me that really stood out because because of the difference between where he started and how it finished and how beautiful it was too. I'm not gonna lie, it was very beautiful.
Well,
and that stood out a lot to me.
quality on time every time, my friend. Let's jump to you, Jose. Be specific on what skills you developed through the help of Mr. Jesse over the last 4 years.
Well, significant skills I learned include painting, dent repair, feather edging is my favorite. Just prep work, just the basics in collision.
Mm-hmm.
We also got into welding, some framework. We got a frame machine donated this year. We used that a little bit at the end. Just most of the basics, covered all the basics of collision repair.
Cool. Daniel.
One of the, like Jose said, we cover everything from estimating to dent repair. But I think one of the key skills that I learned here was the importance of prepping. Obviously it's important to sand the panel, but if you don't do it right, the paint won't lay down nice. You're gonna see the scratches through the paint. The paint will come off later on, and it'll look bad on the tech, but also the shop. It's just a very important part of the process.
BASF, he's not for hire. All right? That's a good answer. Thank you, Daniel. iCar, it's Jonathan. You have a base foundation of iCar, right? Will you continue to level pro, level 2, and 3? Is that your goal, especially with us and now that we'll pay for it?
Yeah, of course, Rich. I will actively pursue pro level 2 and 3, and I think it's really important that I should do.
Benefits of iCar to the customer.
The benefits the customer in which, like, the reliability, right? If I'm certified in pro level 1 or 2, or level 2 and 3, it kind of shows the customer and to the managers as well, right? Because it shows the managers and customer that the car repairs in safe hands and reliable hands.
Very good. Zachary.
So yes, I would pursue the iCar Pro Level 2 and 3 because I think it's more important because the more you learn, the more better skills you have to like fix the deck better than what you had before.
You had the opportunity to listen to Mike Joyce have a panel, conduct a panel with the OEMs. We'll start with Dan on the benefit, your understanding of OEM certification training.
To my understanding, it just helps the technician understand the vehicles that they're working on, and I think it's very important. When you get like German cars, they can oftentimes be very complicated and hard to work on and hard to figure out. And if your techs have specific training on those vehicles and those types of vehicles, it just makes the process so much smoother and safer for the technician and the customer who will be receiving that car after the repair.
Excellent. Good, Zach.
I think it's very important to get certified in OEM because then you know you're doing the right parts and you're making the customers safe. But sometimes the customers be like too cheap to buy like the brand new parts, so they go to aftermarket and we try to put aftermarket on your car. Either you might damage some other components and your car probably got worse.
No offense with my aftermarket friends out there. Mike Joyce, I know you love this guy already. Take it easy out there. All right. We did have on the panel. It's not that funny. We did have Mr. Tesla on our panel, all EV, but all the other OEMs, as you know, have hybrids, right? Jose, your comments in regards to EVs and hybrids as it pertains to anything you can think of, collision repair, your perception of the now and the future.
I think they're great for the future, obviously better for the world, but I think for long trips, it's better to have a gas car, obviously, because my dad, he actually has an EV, he has an Ioniq 5 at home, but anytime we ever do any road trips, we have to take my mom's car, my mom's CRV, because it's a pain stopping after a tank, stopping an hour, just to wait for the car to recharge, and then do it all over again when just 2 minutes at the gas station, you can fill it up. But they're obviously good for everyday use. If you're not going like 300 miles a day, it's perfect. But as it pertains to like fixing the car, it's obviously, you need to be trained on them because you don't know like where you're going in, so you can't just go blindly start working on it because you get electrocuted, there's safety risks to it. It's not the same thing as a normal gas car.
William from Tesla, I think he's still out there. He's not mad at you, it's okay.
I hope
Daniel, EVs, hybrids, repairability, your approach to repairing them, or your approach that you will take repairing them.
My approach when it comes to repairing electric vehicles, what I think about them is that I think they add a whole new layer to the repair itself because a lot of these vehicles, one, have extreme power running through them, so if you don't discharge the system properly, you can get extremely hurt. But also, there's so many new sensors and safety features that come with these electric vehicles that, I was working in a shop and a hybrid minivan got hit on the side. And because the hybrid system is so volatile, one of the safety systems completely shut down. It was worked in one spot for a complete month, and we couldn't even move it until because no one there was trained to work on it. Obviously, we eventually got it out, but I think it's very important to have proper training with these vehicles, because if not, things can go very wrong.
Now, they're only 17 years old here, and they've been in high school for 4 years. Pretty good so far? At shop level, and now, with the help of your new pal, you've got a scanner at the school. So let's start pre-scanning. Your comments on pre-scan first. Who wants to take that one? Jonathan? Okay, go ahead.
What is the question? Like my thoughts?
Pre-scanning. What's your sense, what's your perspective of pre-scanning vehicles?
I think pre-scanning is really important, actually.
Okay, why? And what does that assess in the repair?
Well, it assesses whether or not there's hidden damage that cannot be visibly seen, right? Especially with electrical components. So safety features may be activated where it may not be physically seeable, right? As well as documentation and liability for the shop.
Mm-hmm.
And I think those are my thoughts on pre-scan.
Cool. Post-scan. Who? Okay.
I think post-scan is just as important as pre-scan. If you don't post-scan it, then you may not have realized a simple issue that was damaged in the accident. It also prevents customers coming back to you and saying, you popped my tire when you were fixing my fender. Definitely didn't do that, but the post-scan lets them know this wasn't an issue before, or this was an issue before and it's still an issue that wasn't us. It secures the shop, the technician, and the customer, make sure everyone's right and safe.
So we're pre- and we're post-scanning vehicles. It spits out, or it tells us the fault codes. It tells us either during the repair, or most importantly at the end of the repair, that it needs to be calibrated, right? We do have a scanner now at the school, but we don't have calibration, right? So who wants to take calibration as a question? What are you making a face for?
I don't really have that much ideas of calibration because I ain't really working in a body shop, so I don't want to say the wrong answer and be worried.
Okay. Anybody on calibration?
These guys are all really new to this. We just got the Aztec delivered about 2 weeks ago. It actually showed up kind of unexpected. He had it sent over to me, and I was really, really excited to have it. So I'm really going to play around with it a lot this summer. It's going to be my goal this summer, and then next year we're going to get a lot more into it. I know Jonathan's been using it at work and stuff, but
Cool.
so we're really, really excited about that. It's like I said, it's so helpful to have you guys, and it's an honor to be here. It's an eye-opening experience just coming to this for me. It's awesome. I can't imagine through the eyes of a 17 or 18-year-old. It's really, really cool. What a way to start their career. So it's really awesome. We really appreciate it. I met Mike Joyce about 5 years ago, and it kind of breathed fresh air and brought fresh air into my input on the industry. I was kind of at a point where I was sick of sending these guys out to shops because they were just looking for warm bodies. So Mike made me truly believe that, and he wasn't even with VIVE at this point yet. So I knew somebody would definitely be attracted to him as a manager or a territory manager and stuff like that because he's just great at it. And it's exciting to have somebody on board with us who has that passion. And he spends a lot of time at the school. Miguel spends some time at the school. Rich and Nicole have been at the school 4 or 5 times this year, so it's great to have you guys involved with us and all the new technology and stuff. So we appreciate it.
Cool. I'm not going to ask you this question, but I'm going to ask the three of you because the question is, what would be the perfect shop that you would work? He's already at a perfect shop.
It is true. I am already at the perfect
What
shop.
would you look for? What are you looking for in a perfect work collision repair environment? Starting in the end.
one of the most important things about a shop is how they view their employees. I've worked in quite a few shops where you just don't feel valued, like you're just the body sitting in a shop, and you ask, to be trained in this or trained in that or moved over here, moved there, and it's just we're just gonna keep you there. Actually, it's just you don't feel valued as an employee and as an asset of the company. I think that is one of the most important things to keeping people there and keeping them doing good work.
So I like a clean and organized shop because half the time when I'm in shop trying to fix stuff, I have to go because we have sophomores and juniors at the same time, and they keep touching the tools and putting them in different spots. So I'd be taking a couple minutes to walk around the shop trying to find the tools, find where they belong. And it's just me, it wastes time. That time could be important towards fixing the dent on the car.
I think you were listening to John from BMW. He spoke about the safety and the cleanliness and the organization in the shop. Jose?
I think I can piggyback off of Daniel's response. A shop where there's opportunities of advancement is obviously very important to me, because you can't just be stuck doing the same thing over and over again. I obviously want to improve my craft, move on to bigger and better projects. I heard a story at VIVE. I think Nicole said it a couple weeks ago that a painter now manages sales overseas or something like that. So moving from just an entry-level position, working your way up, and then landing big jobs in sales, and that's really important to me.
Be honest with us. You're brand new with VIVE. I'm not putting you on the spot, but I am. What has been the receptiveness on both sides? The shop, for you, entering the Pawtucket location. And Melissa's out there, by the way, too. Wherever she is.
So,
You're new
Yeah.
with us. What has been the culture there of them receiving you, making you feel comfortable?
yeah, I definitely feel welcome there. During my first couple of weeks, there was a lot of firsts, a lot of new things that were kind of happening, right? The first time I ever actually went under a car and purposely tried to take off a piece of the car, a piece of the body, especially the bumper. Started off with bumpers. Took me a while. Took me a while to really understand it, but eventually I did though. I did get it, and now I'm kind of working around other bits of the cars, other parts, headlights, fenders, doors. Doors, man. I actually struggled with that a little bit, but I got it. I got it. Yeah.
I learned this early on when we would be visiting schools. I don't know if it's the case here. Everybody wants to be a painter for whatever reason, right? Your perception of paint, the quality of painting, what could go right, what could go wrong. Anybody, why don't we start here?
Well, the painting is the main thing that we do. Davies is almost the number one thing we do the most of. And for me, what attracted me to painting was just how, the end result, how beautiful it could be, right? You could have a glossy finish, and it'll come out beautiful with pearls and metallics and everything. And it's just beautiful sometimes. If you're really good at it, beautiful.
Sounds like he wants to be a painter.
Uh,
You need technicians too.
Yeah, I'm a little iffy on the painting. 50-50 shot comes out beautiful or ugly. I'm the most inconsistent person. It's terrible.
And there's so many parts in painting. There's so many different ways you can mess up. Overspray, runs, don't get enough paint on the panel. And there's obviously a lot of pressure when you're painting because you mess something up, you got to start the process all over again. So it's just really about getting it right, taking your time, patience, and just enjoy the beautiful process. And like Jonathan said, there's so many different effects you can put pearls on it. It's a nice process. Obviously, you have to be patient with it. Make sure you don't mess up and just stay focused.
It sounds like what you just said. Some of the GMs out there are thinking maybe they ought to take that back to some of their painters in terms of their approach. Go ahead, Zach.
So painting, it's like there's all different types of techniques for different paints. Like solvent, it's like way different than when you use waterborne. Waterborne dries a lot quicker, cures quicker. It looks a lot different too than solvent. Solvent, you have to take your time. Like this, you have to wait different periods of paint with solvent, and solvent has a lot more chance of, for me, for running dry, like my clear coat, drying, oh, yeah, dry clear. So yeah, there's all different techniques. Like if you spray too close, spray too back, some panels might look darker, some panels might look lighter, so it's all about how you work the spray gun.
Good, Dan.
Something that's important when it comes to painting, I think, is just cleanliness. It's at the school, you know, it's very hard to keep a clean spray booth. There's so many people coming in and out and wanting to sit there and just look at the paint after it's painted. And so many cars coming in and out and people just not cleaning it. And with the booths being so old, there's literally a rot hole in one of the paint booths.
There's actually a paint booth company here, so if you're out there, they need a paint booth.
Yeah. But you know, the paint booth and the panels being dirty is just such a big thing that affects the outcome. Whether it's fish eyes or just dirt nibs in it, it's very important to keep everything clean.
What do you think? Pretty good, right? A pretty good approach. Seasoned technicians, right? Have you ever worked side by side with one, Daniel?
Yeah, I've had the privilege of working by quite a few in shops and doing side work. And something you notice with all of them is their professionalism. A lot of them don't just play around and talk all day. Like a lot of them are. There's a reason they've been in the industry so long and they have a job where they do, is because they're good at what they do. And I think they're a great source of knowledge in the industry because they've been there the longest.
So my experience is my teacher, Mr. Spillane, because he acts like he teaches us things. He takes his time. If you don't understand it, he'll just stay with you and see if you can get it over and over again. So he likes to take your time teaching you, so he knows that when you go out to the force, you're doing it right and you're not messing up easily.
Like what Jonathan said, Mr. Spillane, and I had a job at Electric Boat over there. They also, the seasoned veterans over there, they all arrive on time. They have their techniques, their ways of doing it, and there's time to have fun, but there's also times where you have to get serious and make sure you do things the right way, so everything comes out right.
The seasoned technicians that the folks at Pawtucket have brought hip to hip with you, what is your experience with them? What have they imparted to you?
Well, in particular, I don't think mostly everybody in this room would consider my mentor to be a seasoned technician because he's only been there for 2 years. Maybe know who I'm talking about. But my mentor, Ronald, has imparted a lot of knowledge onto me. One characteristic that I really admire about him is his seriousness. Whenever he starts working on a car and I'm kind of shadowing him a little bit, I can tell by his facial expression that he's serious and he's very attentive on what's in the car, what needs to be taken off and the damage received by the collision. So, yeah.
The OEM representatives on the panel, tooling came up. Tooling upon tooling upon tooling, right? BMW has a menu of tooling requirements. Tesla does. Where are you at right now with your understanding of the various tooling through your training and your instruction with your students?
I think as they mentioned before, they love the OEM fit, but I think that aftermarket has come so far since I used to do it. I used to dread getting some of the panels in boxes, and some of them I wouldn't even open up. I would just throw them back in the corner, or Nowadays they're so much better.
I'm talking about the tools that they need
Oh, okay.
for them staying away from aftermarket.
So you mean in general,
Tools that is going to cost them to enter their career.
They are, they could always use something. I'd love to set it up so we have a package when they graduate at some point. I don't know what the best way to go about doing that is. Some shops have actually put together packages for me where the student's allowed a certain allowance on the tool truck. Sometimes the tool trucks are just so expensive in the beginning, I don't even want to get them involved in that. I remember when I first started, I went to Sears and got a collection, and then as I got better as a tech, that stuff went home and became my home collection, and the stuff that I bought off the truck, now that I knew I had a career and it was staying in the toolbox at work. So yeah, we gotta work on something in the future of putting together. I have some friends who are starting to get to the point where they're retiring from the industry, so I've been talking to them about donations. Maybe, hey, maybe we could figure out a way for you guys to donate some old tools, something like that, whereas they're not going to use them a whole lot more in life because they're just enjoying themselves and relaxing. They don't want to even see a tool anymore because they've been doing it so long. I've come up with a bunch of different plans, but it's still in the works.
We wouldn't, the students wouldn't have been allowed, based upon the school and the district, if they didn't get authorization from the parents, from the district. And the lead for this panel was the career coordinator, who was Catherine Garcia. Catherine, you want to come up? Because you're a part of the career here. I can imagine, I try to see yourself as others see you, but in retrospect, I said, geez, what this lady was thinking when I came in like a bat out of hell saying, would you come?
I thought you were a ball of energy, Rich.
Yeah, but why don't you, you can do a better job than I about taking a minute or two to give the folks in the audience an overview of Davies, as well as specifically your emphasis on the collision repair department and the challenges that you have.
Well, thank you guys so much again for having us. I know Jesse and the guys already said thank you, but this was a really fantastic opportunity for us at Davies. So my name is Catherine Dacier. I'm the career coordinator for the Office of Workforce Development. And it's my job essentially to help these young men and women that are in the collision program and all the other programs at Davies actually get valuable real life work experience. So where Davies differs from other public high schools that might have a career pathway or a CTE pathway is we're a career and technical education school where we put CTE first. So our students are getting between 1,100 and 1,400 contact hours in their shop, where regular public schools, we're talking between 400 and 900 for some of our bigger CTE regions. So that's a lot of time that these guys are in the shop. That's a lot of time that their instructors are really putting into giving them a valuable education. And then that's where I come in. I take the skills that Jesse and the other teachers have imparted on our students, and I really try to go out into the industry, make those connections with our business partners, especially in collision repair. I know you guys, earlier someone in a previous session had made a comment about how your really great technicians are aging out, or we have a lot of retiring technicians. Well, that's invaluable knowledge that needs to be passed down. The best way to pass that knowledge down is for them to shadow or have a young person shadow them that is eager and hungry to start their career in collision repair. The other thing is when you're getting an intern or an apprentice into your facility, you're getting someone that has no bad habits. They just started. You can teach them how your company wants to teach them and give them the information and knowledge that how your company wants the work to be done, right? And lots of our kids here, these guys especially, they've been working so hard. They're going off to do wonderful things in different areas. And I'm really proud of you guys. So thank you so much for being up here. And, they just graduated on Friday and on a panel on Tuesday. Let's see what happens on Saturday, right? So thank you guys again. I appreciate it. I'm here for the rest of the
We've got about 5 minutes. Right? Here's your chance. I did ask the young men they'd be willing to take questions, right, from you all. So there you have it. They're all yours. Anybody wants to ask the young folks a question? Anybody? There's somebody in the back, David?
Yes. Hi, hopefully you can hear me.
Yep.
For your friends who think about going into collision repair, but ultimately don't go into it, what do you think keeps them from joining collision repair?
Ooh, that's not a question. I'm not gonna lie. I think it's like the labor intensity of the job of the industry, right? Eventually, we won't be able to do this. I mean, now we can turn the wrenches, but eventually we won't be able to do that no more. And our bodies will weaken over time. So I think that keeps people away from the industry itself. So yeah.
What are some of your friends don't like about the collision repair industry that you're entering?
I think to add on to what John said with what it does to your body over time, I think that's a very big aspect of it. But I also think it's the culture in the industry today. I think because there's so many older techs in the industry, and the mentality is such an old school one of like safety doesn't matter, why you wearing a mask, you're a little baby for doing that. Like it just makes a lot of younger people who don't want to be shaking when they're 40 because they inhaled so many fumes. It's not something they really want. So I think it's just the mentality of the industry is what keeps a lot of people away. And I think if that can change throughout the industry, I think it'll bring in a lot more younger, hungry techs into the industry.
Another point of view is also that a couple of our friends, when they were looking for an internship, because we need an internship to graduate, we need 80 work-based learning hours to graduate. There was a shop that they all went to, like 4 of them went to, just to do their 80 hours, and it was unpaid. And then the shop said they needed to do another 80 hours of unpaid labor before they would even consider paying them. And it wasn't even like assured that they would get a job offer after 160 hours of unpaid labor. So that obviously deterred them from working.
Some people that they think it's repetitive, like every day they think they're doing the same task, so they probably like fall out of that and they're like, I want to stick up doing just sanding just every day. I was like, but it's like every day a new car come in, it has a different story to tell because all have different dents and different ways how it got hit.
Good answer. Anybody else? Go ahead.
What are your income expectations the first couple of years when you get started? The reason I ask that is I have a 20-year-old. He thinks he's worth a very large amount of money. I'm just curious what you think the industry pays.
Currently right now at VIVE Collision, I get paid 18 an hour, and I think that is a fair amount of payment. What I think is, as I get more experience, I do expect, and more training and more certifications, do expect there to be an increase in pay. And yeah, I do. Like, do you want me to like give you like a dollar amount?
What do you think annually? What is the typical technician make?
Experience, you're saying?
40,000. I'd say roughly 40,000, like an average like 5-year technician. I think it would make 40,000 a year.
Guys?
What was the question again?
What's the value, what's the expectations in your mind? What a new tech?
Yeah, so if you're going into this and you're thinking, hey, I want to make 50,000 or 100,000, what do you think that you'd like to make the first couple of years?
First couple of years, starting out like 20, in the 20s, and then obviously, like Jonathan said, once you get more training, it's obviously going to keep going up. Especially when you start going on flat rate, that's when you start making more money. Maybe 60, 70, in that range after the first maybe 5 years, and then after that, hopefully more into the 80, 90,000.
Okay, anything else? So we'll wrap it up.
Can I comment on this question?
Sorry.
I think it really depends on the tech. I don't think it's right to give a base price to just anyone that walks in the door. I think some some people are more experienced coming in or have more just ability to grow than others. I know in one shop I went into, there was a kid who graduated from my school a year before me and had been there a couple months longer, but when I went in, I started making more than him, simply off the fact that I've been working on cars for so long, and I have more knowledge than him, even though I'm younger and have been working less, right? And I don't think it would make sense for me to make the same or less than him simply because he's older than me. I think that's a big factor into it.
Okay, we're good? Oh, right here. Listen.
So after graduating, what are your expectations for actually going into the field? Like, what do you expect to do? To plan to go directly into refinishing? Do you want to learn all the aspects of the repair industry? Or where do you intend to start?
Start with Dan, go ahead.
I think that your first few years going into it, at least I'd hope that I get the opportunity to be trained in all aspects. I don't want to just be shoved into one area and say, you know, that's where you're staying, because I don't know what I want to do. You know, so many young people have no clue what they want, and if they're forced into a corner, then they kind of feel trapped. Even if that is in the end what they want to do, they don't know that because they don't have the choice to go try other things. And I think just giving young people the option to kind of float around the shop and have their experiences in each aspect, I think that would help a lot with keeping people in the industry and keeping happy technicians.
Anything else, guys? And then-
So I would like to try everything you guys offer the shop just to see what I was most interested in and what I'm not so much. But like for the first year, I don't mind like rotating through all the stations. Maybe after a year or two, trying to pick my right area I want to be in.
And Jose.
For me, I'm actually gonna go to school. I want to get into like the sales aspect of things, like most of you guys here do. Just I like cars, but I also like like the business side of things. That's what interests me most. And I think if I can combine both my interests, it could lead to like me being happy with my job in the future.
So you want 3M to hire, yeah, I get it. All right, pretty good, right?